right, everyone. Hey, congratulations on your short film, Sam and Kiki.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I know. I think I remember Reese and Danielle from Screamfest. You both of you had a delightful time there at Screamfest. So it's such a fun short film. So let me throw it to Mark first. Is Mark, where the
Yes.
original idea came from for Sam and Kiki?
Okay. It's funny because it's kind of a long story, but I'm gonna give you the short, real short version. I'm a veteran, and I had surgery on my shoulder, so I'm at the Veterans Hospital getting physical therapy. So I'm talking to my therapist, and we just start talking about. I started talking about military stories, and she started telling me about stories of her life and how she has this best friend and how they're really adventurous and how they like to go out and do certain things. So they went on a little getaway. They were in college and in Australia, so they wanted to go to New Zealand to see a rock. It was basically like a rock, and then come back, So, but that's what they wanted to see. So she told me about this story about them driving down this desolate road, and they got tired driving, so they drove off and ended up at this house, and they wanted to just go in there and just crash for a little bit and wake up the next morning and then get back on the road again. And they said this guy popped up and took them, and it startled them. And they was asking them if they had rooms or whatever the case. He told them to go into the house. They went into the house, and everything just went downhill from there. And it was just kind of crazy as I was hearing the story when I first wouldn't have never had went into the house, but they did. And they went into a room that he was gonna put them in, and they at that point wanted to leave. So they were trying like certain ways to get out of the room. I'm like, we got to go get our luggage. He's like, I'll get the luggage, and after talking with him, they finally got out of the room. They went to the car. They ran to the car. He followed them to the car. They started the car and off they went. That's the short version. It was more intense there because I was like stunned as she's telling me the story. So I called a friend of mine who went to NYU and told him about the story. And he goes, Mark, you got to put this into a short film. So I was like, okay. He goes, first thing you got to do is you have to write this, because I'm quick to hire a writer, and I do write. So I go, oh. He goes, second, you have to direct it. And I was like, I got to direct this. I'd never directed anything before, and he goes, the third thing is you got to kind of add a splash of comedy into this. So I thought about all of it, and then I called him back and I says, okay. And the comedy side of it is when I decided to, the two girls, and I decided to make one a black girl and one a white girl. But the twist was I'll make the white girl do everything black people do in a scary movie, and I'll make the black girl do what white people do in scary. So black people were gone, you know, in most scary movies, and most white people are like, oh, they hear a noise and they go further and further. And I'd be like, no, don't go that way, go the other way. So that was kind of like the twist that I added into it. I wrote the script, had like several people read it, mostly on the female side, black females, white females. And then once the script was really in a good spot, then we put this thing together.
Well, I certainly hope. Well, it sounds like if your friend got to tell that story, it was actually a good ending then.
Oh, well, then it was,
Right?
yeah. But then it was, but I added my little twist to my ending. So, but yeah, so for them, yeah, it was a good ending. They got out of there.
Most excellent. Danielle, Reese, I know we spoke before, but tell us what initially drew you to this project.
Yeah, I think just as Mark was saying, I love first of all, I love the genre of horror and the splash of comedy. I thought the script was really brilliant and how it was approaching these sort of like themes and tropes that we come to know about in horror, and like flipping it in a really short way. And also just like the idea of like being alone in the middle of nowhere, and like that feeling of fear, which, you know, happens. It's like a really realistic situation too, you know, that anyone can run into this. You're tired and you just need to crash for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, like, you end up in a very, like, you know, risky situation with a friend. And like so it also seemed like a realistic situation, but it also had the horror and also had the comedy. And the entire crew and the entire team was just like people that I really love working with too. So for me, all around, it was just like checked all the boxes.
Yeah, I absolutely, I agree with everything you said, Reese. And also I think the fact that the stakes are so high, like the whole film, the stakes are just high because of the dynamic of these best friends. And, you know, you kind of feel like you get a little glimpse into them and their dynamic and how they already live these sort of pretty like animated, larger than life lives because of, you know, how long they've known each other, their likes, their dislikes. Like you feel the history in it just in that little, like, you know, 15 minutes. And so that was so fun, something that I read immediately about the script, and then getting to do Zoom callbacks with the team going, okay, wow, like even in this digital space, I'm realizing what an amazing group of filmmakers there are here. And so that I was like, okay, if they want to give me the part, I'm in. So
Mark, I understand bringing Danielle and Reese into this film, but tell us about the creepy guy that you put in. Who is he?
Brad Wakeman is the actor that played. And so it was funny. So I'm trying to figure out how to name this film, and the first thing I thought of was Thelma and Louise, because I love that film, and it was two women that did their thing out there. And so I said, I'm gonna name this like the girl's name. And Samantha was a name that I always liked. So of course Danielle, I said I'll name her Samantha. And then I was looking for kind of like a hood name for Reese. So I'm thinking of some names, and Kiki came up. So the original title was Samantha and Kiki, but I didn't like that flow, so I cut it short to Sam and Kiki. Now, I love horror films, like the psychological thriller type. So, Silence of the Lamb, of course, Get Out. But Silence of the Lamb was that film really creeped me out. So I wanted to go kind of like down that route. So I'm like, who can I name the bad or the spooky guy? And I'm thinking of, now Silence of the Lamb is in my mind. So I'm like Buffalo Bill, Hannibal the Cannibal. I said I need some kind of name at that level. So I said, for script purposes, now I said I'm just going to call him Boris the Slasher, because in order for me to write, I need to have a name, and I could change names later, but I need to have a name. And the way the original girls, Mary and Reagan, described this guy was it's this guy that came out of nowhere, because they're talking back and forth, and next he just appears out of the dark. A white guy, tall, with a long beard and no shirt, and he had these Daisy Duke shorts on, like the shortest shorts you can think of that a man could probably wear, and and he was just a dirty guy. And so just thinking of him and how spooky I would have never got out of the car at that point, but they did. But that was I said, so I got to think of something on that line when I write in Boris the Slasher. And so that's where that character came from. So I wanted them to make him a dark character. I wanted him to do things that was just, for Sam's sake, let's get the hell out of here. For Kiki's sake is, no, I think he's lonely. That's where things like that came in, and they're moving forward. So they got that little conflict going on and on. And unfortunately, Sam is following Kiki because, so she goes in. So I just wanted them to make him a really, really dark guy. Really the type of guy that you don't talk to.
yeah, and Brad Wakeman, our actor, he does such a good job of walking that line. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, when we auditioned him, we had a series of auditions. And Brad, as soon as we had like about, I think, 6 people lined up, and he popped. I said, yeah, he could probably be it. He read the lines, and we threw some curveballs at him to see how he would respond and how he would, react, and told him to go off script a little bit, and we're adding more stuff in and this and that. But when I saw Brad, I was like, that's the guy. I just hope he can act. So when he did the audition, I said, that's him. That's Boris the Slasher right there. He was the guy that he killed it. He nailed it.
I don't know why we can't trust a guy in Daisy Dukes. I mean,
yeah, that's how she described him. I was like, wow, okay, you guys, so.
I love that you kept it in the film. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So good.
Danielle, Reese, your characters are so delightful in this film. Are you similar to your characters in the film? I mean, what would you really do in that situation?
Good question.
Great question. I think for me, I am quite curious, actually. I am somebody that I'm like, oh, what's over there? And like yeah, I mean, if I'm hearing noises, I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. Like, what is it? Maybe it's dangerous, but like the sense of the sense of wonder and curiosity is inherently me. Like, I'm like very like practical usually, like I'm gonna figure stuff out, but then I'm like, oh, look, a balloon. So I think personality wise, this makes a lot of sense. Like, I'm in a circumstance, the lights have gone out, like there's clearly something wrong, but I hear something. I'm gonna follow that instead of go the other way. So like, I really love Kiki for that. And also like when I find what's happening in the basement, like, like I'm like, I have to get back to my friend, but I can't leave. I have to leave you. Like my initial like feeling isn't to solve this, it's to get back to my friend. So it's kind of like a comedy of errors with Kiki, which is fun. And yeah, that's very me. Yeah,
that is so fun. And so I'm a planner, and I while I do love a spontaneous moment, I feel like Danielle is the type to say, no, this is not the hostel I booked. We booked this other hostel. So if we're not going to this hostel, we will sleep in the car and we will not go in there. So that is definitely aligning. I do align with her in those ways. And it's so funny that you said that, Reese, because it's those like little hints of, I think casting is such an art, and it's such like those little hints of almost just like an energy, or like, that curiosity that Reese brings to the role, and then the more desire for structure that I have in me that I bring to the role, that I think just kind of plays because they inherently live within us. And I love that question, because I haven't really, processed that. So
right. Yeah, totally. It's like he's like, I'm just tired. Like, he's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. And I'm like, no.
Exactly. That's funny.
I know this is a very fun movie, and the thing that used to drive me nuts is when people leave their car keys in weird places during horror scenes. Until I recall that that actually happened to me. Well, not really leaving it, but where you're running away and you're trying to running away from somebody and fidgeting with your car keys. That actually happened to me once, and I dropped my car keys underneath the car.
So it's real. It really happens.
Well, at the time I thought I was getting mugged by a homeless guy, so I threw my wallet at him, and then I ran to my car and tried to use the car keys to get away. Dropped my car keys. Then I jumped into my car. After I got my car keys, jumped in my car, and then he dived on top of the hood of the car, and he says, Mister, I don't need your whole wallet. I just need $5.
That's hilarious.
Okay. And you were like, yeah. I can do that.
Yeah, I was like, I'm glad you give me
thank you.
$5. I mean, please don't kill me.
Right.
As like in the real world, horrors everywhere. So everyone, thank you very much for speaking to us about Sam and Kiki. It is a delightful movie. I know I took a lot of your time, and I keep on staring at Danielle's and Mark's clock in the background, thinking like, both of you are in the same room or in the same universe or something.
On the opposite sides of the country.
This clock doesn't work. This clock doesn't work. It's just for show. I don't even know. Yeah, we won't even pay attention. But yeah, we aligned with our clocks.
But just to say this, I had so much fun putting this whole project together. From the casting director, Darren Sockett, who worked with me. And it was easy because I only had to cast 3 people. So the energy that Reese and Danielle have, and Brad, how to me, like, everything just felt together. The crew, how we worked together and how they worked hard and put all this stuff together. It was just amazing. And I will say this, the food was amazing. I made sure they ate very well. So shout out to my aunt. But to those people, I'm not going to even start mentioning names, because if I mention names, if I mention one name, I have to go mention all of them. And I don't want to miss a name. So it was so much fun that I had with this particular project, putting it together and those guys, those actors, that crew, those producers and camera and lighting, and they made all this possible for me, to take my vision exactly how I wanted it to be. So it came out perfect. So I just want to give a shout out to the whole entire cast and crew for helping me be successful and where we are. And I just want to say, because we did get selected for this was a best of the fest. We won that at a particular film festival recently. Just got that. So we're moving forward, and things are still positive things are really still happening to this film. And the next thing is to get this into a feature. I think it's just going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. So just want to say thank you to all the cast and crew. Well,
we can't wait for the more showings at film festivals. Thank you very much, everyone, for speaking to us about Sam and Kiki. Next time. Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.